There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true. Yo, folks, the Yonkō Table has set sail yet again into the Grand Line for our up-and-coming One Piece Chronicles episode. This week, we are focusing exclusively on Jaya. Now, some of you may be wondering, wait, why is the Yonkō Table dedicating an entire pod to just Jaya in One Piece? Why not just lump it in with Skypeia, which for the most part is a prologue to Skypeia? But upon rewatch, upon rereading this arc, there's a lot you can talk about with Jaya, and we're here to deep dive it in its entirety for you guys, and hopefully, after giving us a listen, you'll probably see where we're coming from with this. I feel like Jaya is meaty on its own and serves as a good, in fact, excellent appetizer to Skypeia, which comes afterwards. So today is just going to be about Jaya. We're going to deep dive it into the characters, the lore, the mythos. But if you guys want to carry on the conversation with us or with our fellow Supernovas, please check out our Discord. More information on that in the description down below. Check out the Patreon and you'll be able to continue our lovely conversations about One Piece or anything you're really into in the world of geekdom. But before we deep dive today's arc, with me as always is fellow Yonkō, GrandMasterHoop. Grandmaster, yay or nay? Jaya, mid, skip?
I don't think anything in One Piece is necessarily mid nor skip. I think
some people say this next arc after Jaya is skip. Some people.
And I would say those people are foolish because at the end of the day, this still ranks upon their favorite manga anime series. And again, I believe Oda knows what he's doing. If you don't think what happens here plays into the grander scope of things, maybe it just hasn't yet. So everything happens for a reason. Everything is done with a purpose. So I cannot call anything mid nor tell any, and I would never advise someone to skip unless it's filler. Unless it is filler, that is the only time.
Would you tell them to skip Foxy Pirates?
I've never seen Foxy Pirates because
you skip Foxy Pirates.
I was under the impression it was filler. I was under the impression it was filler.
Interesting.
So, but I will go back and do a speed watch.
Okay.
Yes, and read up on it. I always
you'll
believed
get
it
to
was
see
filler.
Afro Luffy.
I've seen him in the games. He's an unlockable character in One Piece Grand Battle. Yes, I've seen him before. So I'm not unaware.
Well, that's well and good. You don't encourage people to skip arcs, specifically this one that we're here to talk about today. There's a lot of meat in Jaya, and we're going to explain exactly what that meat is. But of course, we have Supernovas here to deep dive with us today. And let's get into it. Jaya overall. How do you guys think about the arc? Is it kind of just something you sped through? Or was it a necessary palate cleanser after something really big like Alabasta? Because if you want to consider Alabasta an ongoing saga, which it was, Alabasta lasted immediately from Reverse Mountain all the way until Alabasta Kingdom, the desert one. And that consisted of Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, Drum Kingdom, Alabasta. That's 4 arcs. If you want to throw Reverse Mountain in there, like 4.5.
You do. You have to.
Right. So 4.5 arcs, and we just finished it in the arc previously. Did you guys need Jaya? Did you like Jaya? What did you think of Jaya?
I think Jaya is a getting back to not formula per se, but like, One Piece is about adventure. And they go on many adventures as a pirate crew. And I don't know, actually, when you think about it, this is kind of their first, let's go on this type of adventure. Let's go find Sky Island. Let's go discover if this myth is true or not, versus every arc prior has always been kind of a sense of purpose, whether it's we got to help Vivi or we got to go help one of the straw hat crew members or whatnot. This was kind of a let's be pirates. And I think Hooper TV alluded to this too in our overall One Piece talk as to why you should appreciate Jaya and Skypeia, is that they're just being kind of pirates here. And it's cool. It's cool. It is a refresher from the kind of let's save a country type of story that we've been seeing. So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of find it interesting you said back to formula. I think this is the arc that Oda was like creating the formula for One Piece, because everything else had such a purpose behind it. Like East Blue had the rush to get to the Grand Line, and then once they got to the Grand Line, everything was kind of compacted into defeating Crocodile and getting back the Kingdom of Alabasta. So everything was so focused then. And I remember when I was first going through it, I was like, I'm kind of fatigued because everything was so focused, and now everything is kind of freeform. And now since I'm caught up and I'm looking back, I'm like, wow, this was actually such an important arc, because I wouldn't know how the crew would just be without a goal. They were just like, the main goal is there to become, get to the end of the Grand Line and become King of the Pirates, but there was still a mystery and a sense of adventure that they needed to come together as a group. And I feel like in Jaya you start seeing.
Right. No, I agree. I think where a lot of people come from when you leave an arc like Alabasta and you start an arc like this, with Jaya is basically a prelude to Skypeia. A lot of people, like in the One Piece community, not anymore because of recent events, but before, they would always say, skip Skypeia, skip Jaya and skip Skypeia. Blasphemy, I know. You don't skip arcs in one, just like you don't skip parts in JoJo. You don't skip. You read and watch everything. But there was a significant portion of the fan base that would say skip Skypeia. And in rereading Jaya, I can kind of see where that argument would come from, because Skypeia, as they're going through to Jaya, is completely skippable. They don't have to go to Skypeia in the story. Like Luffy and the crew, they can just once they get to Jaya, before the log post resets to point to the next island, they're on a timer where if they want to go to Sky Island, they gotta go up the knock-up stream and do all their shenanigans and adventures on Jaya within a time limit. If they don't, then okay, guess we never go to the Sky Island. We'll just sail on our way. So I think because of that, it was like a skippable adventure. It was a side quest. You didn't have to do it. Didn't really add to anything, but obviously everything in One Piece matters. Everything foreshadows something. So I think even without the Skypeia element, there's a lot of foreshadowing in Jaya. More than I didn't even know there was that much. I don't remember there was just one in Jaya. But rereading this arc, and we'll get into what is being foreshadowed, but it's crazy that something as small as this, because now I'm thinking like, man, do I really need to like reread certain arcs again? Like Thriller Bark, I read Thriller Bark like maybe once or twice. I probably have to reread it again. I don't know. It's probably, well, nothing happened on Thriller Bark, but we're not here to talk about that today.
I could get next. I was gonna say, from somebody who's not completely caught up in the One Piece manga, but I read the Jaya Skypeia years ago, and I'm currently rereading everything again so I can catch up. I'm currently in Skypeia. It is way better than I remember it being. I will go as far as to say that it is better than Alabasta. just
Ooh.
because
Ooh.
Alabasta for me lasted a little bit way too long. And don't get me wrong,
Skypeia's kind of long too.
No, Skypeia is long, at least, but for me, it's concentrated in one thing. It's not like multiple different pieces. Like, think of how long it took us to get to Crocodile. I'm reading Skypeia right now. I already know who's the villain and what the angle is. The fights, every chapter is a fight. Because, of course, in Skypeia, when we talk about it next week, they have that giant Battle Royale fight. That is good. And Jaya, for me, was a little bit slow at first. And the villain, Bellamy, not memorable. But at the same time...
That's the point! That's the point!
I know, Bellamy is such a stupid... And he kills somebody. I really read the name right before this podcast. And I still can't remember the name of the guy he killed at the beginning.
Oh, he's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's the guy that he was playing card with and they quote-unquote cheated.
Roshio?
Roshiro.
Oh, there we go. Roshio the Executioner, yes. 42 million. There we go. So, million. Like, this guy, like, part of the story, it is a little bit slow compared to Alabasta, but the setup is really nice, especially when some of the reveal in Skypeia are connected back to Jaya, which I like. So for me, 100% Jaya, Skypeia combo, so far better than previous arc. So I wouldn't recommend skipping it at all, really. It's way better, dude. I'm telling you. I remember that arc being so bad. Like, horrible. Jaya was just horrible back then.
Goodness.
But now, yeah.
And it's kind of like those your retrospective appreciation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the little things that matter. Jaya is one of the smallest arcs in all of One Piece, but it really does foreshadow a bunch, and it's a breather, and it introduces a good amount in such a short period of time that it feels insignificant. But then, yes, in retrospective, it turns out it was actually quite significant. And then Skypeia, yeah, it's condensed, so therefore it makes everything that happened in Jaya seem more, pertinent to that story. For example, like, as Dr. J said, they didn't have to go there. It was a side quest. Well, technically they didn't have to stop at Drum Island either, unless there was another.
She was sick.
They could have kept going and just held out until they found another doctor.
Until she died?
Actually, no. They said that she had like 24 hours or something, or she would have died.
You get my point, though. You get my, like, in the grand scheme of it all.
Mandatory.
In the grand scheme of it all, Drum Island is not on their path, though. That's what I'm saying.
Said Nami can die. That's
not what I said. That's not what I said.
Who needs a navigator?
It was a detour. Yeah. That's what you feel me. It's a detour.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think how they introduced that arc, particularly in the story, felt like a detour because it was
Drum Island.
No. Yeah, Drum Island. Okay. But Jaya, this did feel like there was nothing. I feel like after such a big arc like Alabasta, like a big saga like Alabasta, where everything, and a lot of the pieces, like not only in the arcs, but a lot of the pieces that we're gonna come back to, like Ace. We're going to come back to, Ace was introduced in Alabasta, but we didn't get the payoff for Ace until much later. And there were just a lot of things that got set up in Jaya. I can't credit who I stole this from, but someone on the YouTube comment section of a weird YouTube short said, man, Jaya is so great because it foreshadowed so much, but we have no idea what it foreshadowed yet. And like, we know it's there, but there's so much that we know that it's setting up something, but we have still no idea what Oda is referring to.
Subtle breadcrumbs.
Well, some foreshadowing, it is kind of like, there's some that hasn't been revealed to us yet, but there's even some that have been paid off so far in the story. Okay, so we're coming straight from Alabasta, right? The Straw Hats say goodbye to Vivi. Vivi decides to stay in her kingdom. That's a wrap. That's done. They raise their fists in the air. They show the X's on their arms. You cry a little bit, you move on, right? Alabasta's done. So they're sailing, right? And I just like the way they're slapped in the face with this arc. What is it? A giant galleon it falls from the sky, explodes near them.
Yeah, it literally falls in front of them, and they almost lose their shit.
It was amazing. And obviously you have someone we mentioned last week, Robin. She's joining the crew, so now she gets to partake in this chaos along with them. So their first response is what? Let's go see what fell on the ship. You know, like it's something weird. You don't see that happening often. So let's explore the wreckage and see what's there. But I think it's around this part they get their bounties, right? Or do they get it later?
Yeah, they got their
Jaya?
bounties already.
I think in the anime they are aware of their. Well, actually, because I just rewatched it. I guess they weren't aware, but I think the world was aware, but they weren't aware.
Right. They printed
Yeah.
the bounties for them, but
Yeah. So
the Straw Hats were not aware of what it was.
Luffy was still thinking that he had a 30 million.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the
Because that's
world.
why Bellamy fought him also, because he saw the
Exactly.
100 million. He was like, "There's no way. They cheated. They're a bunch of."
They're lying.
Well,
Yeah. It has to be fake.
They said, because Bellamy tried to reassure them. He's like, you never heard of those pirates that like just print fake bounty pictures or bounty
Yes.
numbers and they just show it to you so you back off? Oh, look, I'm worth 70 million. I'm worth 80 million. You better don't mess with me, man. So that's funny. So what? Luffy is 100 million.
And Zoro
Zoro.
is 60 million.
But the rest of the crew still does not have bounties yet.
Nothing.
No.
Yeah, nothing.
No.
Okay.
They're nobodies.
They're
small
nobodies.
Well, Sanji's like the only one who's pressed. He's like, Usopp, do you see one with my name on it?
He was asking it. He's like, and Usopp says no. Sanji keeps asking. He says no. Usopp.
Which is funny because if Sanji's whole purpose in Alabasta was keeping like secret,
Yes.
like, using code names, and then he gets mad that like, man, why don't I have it? You were good at your job. There's no reason for you to have a bounty yet.
Or maybe he was worried if they did have his picture. Maybe he was asking. He's like, do they have my image? Because I'm kind of concerned. Like I'm looking back. I wish I had the volume next to me. It's in another room. But from what I remember, he's asking in a vague way where you don't know if he's asking if he actually wants a bounty like Zoro and Luffy. He's kind of just asking, do I have one? And that's it. That could mean like, oh, I'm kind of worried if I have one.
Breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs. Yeah.
It's
Actually, we'll get into it, but there's another big kind of Sanji breadcrumb. Very subtle. There's a lot of subtle breadcrumbs
very
here.
subtle.
I don't know if it's subtle when it's a full panel with the big words right next to him saying what it is, but sure, we'll go with subtle.
Subtle as in terms of you don't know the scope of, why it's subtle.
Because you can just leave it alone and kind of
But
be
when
like,
you look back at it, it's Oda literally being like,
it's blatant.
hey.
Red alert. So what they go into the salvage of the ship and they're able to recover a map, right? A map of a Sky Island, which honestly, when I had originally read this portion of the story, I thought the concept of a Sky Island was freaking cool. I don't know. You don't hear about that a lot. An island that's floating in the sky.
You don't hear about that ever. Where do you hear about that?
There's some what do you call it? Legend of Zelda, the Skyward
One Piece.
Sword.
This came before.
Skyward
we're talking
Sword.
Skyward Sword.
Did
this
you
came
read this in
before.
2002?
No.
Also, Skyward Sword is, what do you call it? Isn't it one of the most detested Zeldas?
It is one of the more
wrongfully
polarizing ones.
Yes, polarizing is a better word. It is wrongfully so. Actually, that could be another weekly little thing. Zelda games. Yeah, I don't know. There was a show on Nicktoons called Skyland, Warriors of Tomorrow. I don't know if you remember that.
Skylanders?
I need to
Skyland?
look this up. Skyland.
Skyland. It was the same animation of the people who did Iron Man Armored Adventures. So it was like 3D and cell shaded. I see Nino looking up. The point is, yeah, okay, fine. If you meant Sky Islands in the grand scheme of real world context, of course you never heard of that because they're not a thing.
Oh god.
But-
Clearly,
Ugly
the same. I never heard of
animation.
a rubber man. Like,
Oh, this is why
There
it
is
got
a rubber-
forgotten.
Oh, there's a rubber
God.
band, man. Oh, did you find it?
Yeah, it looks like the animation quality of the MTV animated Spider-Man sequel.
oh my god.
Wait, is
could
it called
be-
Skyland Warriors of Tomorrow?
Yeah, that's
It's just
it.
called Skyland.
Oh,
Sky.
I've never.
I
heard
thought
of
it had a
though.
subtitle. Whatever. I mean, that's not what we're here for. Yes, Skypeia is a cool concept. Here we've been to a desert island, or whatever, a snowy island.
That's cool. They're
You know,
going to
instead of
Fire
doing-
Island next.
Right,
Actually, no.
instead
I
of
guess
doing-
the Desert Kingdom is like.
But instead of just doing
Right.
a, climate change island, he said, let me throw them into the sky, something out of this world, because we can, and it's cooler and it's
yeah.
more interesting. So it was
one-
cool.
It was cool, and I like how it's a struggle to get there. Right? It's not like they get the clue that the log pose is pointing up, but it's like, okay, well, we know it's up. How do we get there? And so I
Well,
like,
Yeah, they don't even know if it's actually real.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
people
don't
were
even
laughing
know.
at them.
Right, exactly. Did they explain why? Oh no, they said because I was wondering, like, so how do you, because Nami was saying, but the log pose is pointing up. Like, how do you explain that? And they just summed it up as, don't you know log poses like break? You probably have a
Yeah.
broken log pose.
It's like they
That
don't
was
want
so
to
hard
believe.
to believe. Like
It
it's so
is.
hard to believe because they were like, the log post hasn't been wrong so far. Something is going on.
And it's funny because, the Grand Line is so full of fantastical like islands and people and
But
just
Skyland is where
craziness.
they draw the limit.
But a sky island, no way. No,
Out
impossible.
of the question.
Out of the question. You have a devil fruit that lets you spring around at the breaking the sound barrier. Okay, I can take-
on top of that too, there's a geyser that reaches above the clouds, which they all are aware of, but God forbid someone has tried to take that up above the clouds.
So they tried explaining the knock-up stream, right?
Yeah.
Because when they get to Jaya Island, they're basically saying, there was a ship that just fell from the sky and it crashed. There must be a sky island. And basically everyone on the island does not believe in a sky island. They're just saying that must be a ship that just went to the knock-up stream, got shot into the air, and just fell somewhere near you. But what they don't address is some of the things that the crew found on that galleon that fell on top of them. They dated back, 200, 400 years ago?
200 years.
200 years.
200
yeah.
years. You're telling me this thing shot into the sky and just floated
Now
around
fell down.
for 2 centuries and it just fell down now?
I mean,
There
to be
must be
fair,
a sky
they didn't-
island.
no, they didn't explain that to the people in the town, and you have to assume that for
No,
most
I know they
people-
didn't.
Yeah,
They didn't explain the salvage part, how old it
Yeah.
was.
yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, what if you were to tell them that? Would they question it, or would they just kind of excuse that one too? Like, oh,
But if you're pirates and you're like, there may be treasure at the end of this, why would you tell?
oh no,
an
yeah,
island full of-
yeah.
Oh,
Don't tell them.
good
There's no
point,
reason to
good
tell
point.
them.
You forgot to mention they saw 3 giant shadows
They
in the
did.
sky.
Oh yeah, with the wings.
First they saw the turtle, right? The
The turtle,
giant
yeah.
turtle that ate the salvage while they were
Right.
trying to explore it. And
Yeah.
then the turtle sweated bullets when they saw the 3 giant shadows and could not explain it. Obviously related to Skypeia, but in the moment it's like, what the hell was that?
Right.
When I saw that, I remember texting like our chat, and I was like, "What the absolute fuck is going on? This is." I was like, "What is going on? This is so crazy!" Like, I thought they were actually like giant, or maybe they were, but I thought they were actually giants up there, and I was like, "That's so crazy!" You're telling me like this is, and I was trying to put things together. That was the moment where I was like, I'm completely invested in this arc right now. Like,
That
there's
hooked you
something
in.
I can't explain. There's something, and it looks like something that I wanted to get the explanation about.
Funny enough, the anime did a good job at kind of delivering on that scene, because I think it went straight to be continued after the reveal.
Ooh, that's a good way to
whoa.
cut off.
Yeah. No, it was good. It definitely felt. I don't know. I don't want to call it scary, but it was just like
Intriguing.
bewildering. Yeah, because it was like, oh, Skypeia, and then they're like, whoa, these giants. What's going on? Like, you definitely want to get to the end of the rainbow for that answer.
Right. No, exactly. You definitely want to piece these puzzles together to get a solution. We also get like a side, well, I guess we get two side characters into this thing. The monkey pirates, monkey gang. One
two.
is the Marisa pirates.
Mashira.
Mashira.
That's how you pronounce it. Mashira.
And then who's that's the Donkey Kong one, right? That's the Donkey Kong?
Yes, he's
Okay.
the gorilla. And then Shoujo is the orangutan.
Right. And they have,
Yeah.
it's funny because I use these as like respectable, because they have bounties too, right?
Yes.
They have like
Yeah.
around 30-ish, a little bit over 30, a little bit over 40. And it's like, as a kid, I remember reading this and I would just put into perspective, like, wow, this monkey guy could whoop Arlong's ass.
Oh,
And like, and think about it. Like, it's true.
yeah.
It said monkeys are better than fish. That's all.
Are we letting
That's
the
all they
bounties
say.
dictate power level though?
Yes.
well,
with
this
Arlong.
This arc was a good way to both promote it, but at the same time make you question it. Because, you know, the whole point of Bellamy's downfall in this is because he was too reliant on bounty numbers.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he overestimated his opponent, and we already know what happens, and we'll get into it. But at the same time, it is representative of how busted a character can be, because you saw the gap in power between Bellamy and Luffy. Luffy's 100 million, Bellamy is 55.
They took it. I think Oda took it straight. Like, this was one of the elements he took from Dragon Ball.
Yes.
With the power levels, where they introduce it and then they kind of shake your belief in them
exactly.
until you get to the point where it's over 9,000. And you know,
We'll get
just-
there.
It's almost to a point where the bounty itself is not supposed to necessarily represent power, but more of fear. It's like, if the government puts a giant bounty on you, it's because they fear what you're gonna do.
You've done enough to be on their
Yeah.
radar.
Yes.
So that's just something silly. I just like, I don't know. I just imagine like the orangutan going up against Captain Kuro in the East Blue, and he's just slapping him around. Silliness. But so the crew basically want to figure out these answers to Sky Island. They meet the monkey, they beat the crap out of the monkey, and they're like, all right, well, we need clues to Skypeia. Let's go to Jaya. They go to Jaya, and what? They realize it's an island of pirates. And I think it's based off of an actual island.
Tortuga.
Was it that? Maybe it was. It was an island back in the age of piracy where it was an island just full of pirates. Like, they would just go
Sounds
there.
like
What did you say,
Tortuga,
Tortuga?
Yeah.
Oh, then probably, yeah.
I would imagine. Like, Oda draws a lot of inspiration from like real world places, events, people.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
That's the vibe I got from it. It's an island of pirates. It's an island of misfits. There's no law or reason. They do have townsfolk in there that just, you know, run businesses, but I
Gotta make money.
I imagine how sustainable that must be if you're like, your furniture is getting destroyed, your table's getting destroyed. Like,
No, but think about it.
week.
The pirate kill each other, and all you have to do is grab their body and report it to the authority, and boom, 40 million right there.
Well, I don't think authorities come to the island though.
No, but if you can send the body to them, because they do say it wanted dead or alive.
You know, it's funny. I think all this time in One Piece, I don't think they've solidified like how you claim a bounty on a character. Like,
Turn them in.
well,
Yeah.
you turn them
But
in.
can't they just be like, oh, you turned them in, thanks. hey, wait a minute, aren't you this person? we have an admiral right here who'd want to speak with you.
It's in the name of justice. Don't worry.
Exactly.
You'll get along with him.
But I guess that's how. Oh, I can't say that. But a certain someone does rise the ranks, by doing just that. So.
Well, that certain person also uses it's situational, given crocodile. Well, I mean, we'll get to actually talking about Jaya. So, we'll pause real quick.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So we have the crew on the island. They want to figure out how to get to Skypeia. And they go into this bar, and there's a lot that happens in this bar. They encounter a character in here who is basically, you could call him the villain of One Piece, or like one of the antagonists of One Piece. For the first time, they meet Marshall D. Teach. And it's in one of the silliest ways that you don't bat an eye at. But I remember sending it to our Discord chat earlier today. I was like, wow, this is Luffy and Teach's first interaction, and it's representative of their entire dynamic. Goda is a goat. Goda the goat. That's what he is. What? What, they're eating cherry pies, or they're eating Blackbeard's eating cherry pies.
No, they're both eating the cherry pie, and then they both call to the bartender, and Blackbeard says, "This cherry pie is great," and Luffy's like, "This cherry pie is terrible." And then they like drink whatever they're drinking, and Luffy says, "Oh, this is great," and Blackbeard's like, "No, this is terrible." And then Luffy's like, "I want 50 steaks," and Blackbeard's like, "I want 50 pies," and like look at each other. "Well, I want 55 steaks. I want 60 pies, and I want 70
You got a problem,
buddy?" Mirrors. They're mirroring each other, and it's just a really good intro because, on top of this is probably the biggest bad of One Piece so far, kind of. I mean, debatable. He's up there. If there's like a top 3 big bads, he's top 3. It goes him.
I agree.
A certain admiral, and I guess
Are you thinking of the Emperor, or not the Emperor, but God, what's his title? Like the ominous figure, the ominous, the tall thing. Yeah.
We have no idea who.
Right. We don't.
No idea.
I'm sure it's gonna be. So, I'm sure it's gonna be someone maybe we know, because why mask the face? Whatever. The point is, everybody's mocking them. Haha. It's called Mocktown because
Oh my god.
They want to find Sky Island, and they believe in their dreams of piracy, and enter Bellamy now into this bar.
Bellamy the hyena.
Bellamy the hyena, who we don't know his affiliations yet. We just know he's in charge of the Bellamy Pirates. And he's talking about this new age of piracy where, he's like, the age of piracy where it's led by dreams is done. It's all about power and like money, and he's like, "Are you small fries? Are you gonna be part of the new age?" And they're just like, "Nah, man, we're just trying to go on adventures. We want Sky Island," and they ridicule
Sky Island,
right? And then and on top of that too, Luffy and Zoro promise not to fight.
Mirroring the Shanks scene in the very first chapter, right? Which I still have a lot of questions about, because why would they do that? Like, I understand Luffy was trying to emulate Shanks, but why would he do that?
Well, okay, why is a great question, because, well, one, they proceed to beat them up, right?
The Bellamy Pirates?
Yeah, the Bellamy Pirates. Nami perceives it as, at one point, she just perceives it as they were not strong enough. But then they go outside, and Nami, sticks up for them and kind of like puts them in their place, saying, y'all are, I forget what she says. Oh man, I should have looked at what she said. But who do they get kind of a clarity moment from? Like, who offers them, or like who tells them, go find Sky Island? I hope you get there. Sky Island is real, none other than
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard. And it was
that's what makes me so confused about it, because that moment is so iconic, but I feel so confused about it because it's like.
But what are you confused on? Like why they didn't fight back? Or
actually, wait, wasn't it Nami that told them not to fight back when they first?
Nami told them not to fight back.
Nami told them not to fight back, but when Bellamy slammed Luffy's head into the counter, he was ready to fight him. He was gonna whoop his ass, and Nami was gonna let him do it. But that's when Bellamy started talking about the dreams, and how this new age of piracy does not revolve around them. It's about money and power. And that's when Luffy turned to Zoro and he said, Zoro, do not fight them. And he told them, and then they proceeded to get their asses handed to them. So
is it really getting your ass handed to you if you're just laying there and take it?
Yes.
Yeah, they got bloodied.
They gave their consent.
Either way, it makes sense now looking back on it, I guess. Like, oh, like they weren't worth fighting. Like that's not the reason why they fight, you know. And I guess when you get into like the Skypeia, like into Skypeia proper, they delve into why like Luffy and his crew fights and why like more prominently in the themes. But what makes me so confused till this day, and I don't think we'll get any clarification until the end of the story or until it's addressed, is Blackbeard says dreams will never die, and like reaffirms it to Luffy. And I'm like, knowing what I know now, I'm like, why is he the one saying this to Luffy? Why is he the one reaffirming this?
Because he's the same. I feel like he's the same as Luffy.
Is it too much to call him the Dark Reflection? Despite his intentions, he has a dream. And he's got a plan.
Whatever that dream is, we don't know, but he has one.
He's got a dream.
He has a mission.
and when you think about it too, his primary influence, which they still haven't revealed, it's this character, but this character is revealed in this arc. That man had a dream too. That man, again, these people are directly under the influence of the previous age of piracy, where dreams were a big thing, you know?
Right.
And so he's malintent, but he has a dream, you know? And he looks at Luffy and he passes it on to this kid. And I mean, I don't think they would know. They would later come to, you know, opposing sides of a confrontation, but I guess that's kind of the beauty of it, is that these two can relate to each other versus just, you know, the villain being the complete opposite of the hero. You know, they can relate at their core. Like, that's a core thing, you know, the dreams is huge. That's the whole Straw Hats thing. They each have a dream.
That was chapter 1.
Right. They wrote that in stone. Follow your dreams.
It's one of the commandments of One Piece.
Right. So here's a guy who's following the commandments, and he's just a bad dude, though.
And,
you know?
And I think it's purposeful that Oda, when Blackbeard says that line to Luffy, Oda does an entire panel spread of the two opposing. Goda. It's gonna tie back. It's an entire panel spread of just a white background. Oda doesn't do that a lot, if ever. I don't think he's ever done that before. I could be wrong, but that stuck out to me because it was all white, and the only thing you saw was Luffy standing and Blackbeard sitting and saying the quote, "Dreams never die." And,
well, you saw Zoro and Nami as well.
Right, yeah. The characters are there, but in terms of like who is where's the tension? It's between Luffy and Blackbeard. That line's coming back 100%. That stance is. I'm telling you. I
need to go back and
reread Jaya a third time, Toasty. Didn't
obviously.
you just read it?
Yeah, it's I feel like. Oh, go ahead, Toasty.
I was gonna say, like, I'm trying to remember the scene. I remember when they were sitting at the bar, but now that you guys mentioning it, like, I'm definitely gonna go back.
Nami brings them outside. He's sitting there. He's still eating the pies, but you know, he kind of applauds them for not fighting back, because he says, when we aim high, we come across fights not worth fighting. You know, so by the moment Bellamy says, you know, dreams are worthless, dreams don't matter, you know, right there, Luffy and Zoro, like, clock him out. You know, he's nobody, he's nothing, and Blackbeard too. So, you know, and he applauds them for not fighting, because he agrees this is not a fight worth fighting, because if people don't line up with your ideals, it's like, you know, there's no saving them, or at least they don't think there's any hope of saving them, because, you know, foreshadow, Bellamy may have a change of heart down the line, you know.
Maybe.
But that's enough. But what do you call it? Again, that page, that panel, I feel like is so important. There's so much that gets foreshadowed in Jaya that we don't have. We know it's foreshadowing, but we haven't seen it completed yet. Because even though, like, we can make guesses at it, we won't really know until we know, like, a certain character's motivations, which we still don't know. It's crazy that a character that's introduced in Jaya, we still have no idea their motivations or why they operate. They've just been, like, operating, like, as a force of chaos the entire story. It's great, and it's time. This is like the tiniest breadcrumb, and it's like you said, it's so important that Oda dedicates a spread to it. You know, like its own panel, and it's like focus here. But how long has it been? We're in 2022.
That was 20 years. That was 2002.
20 years ago.
People have died reading this story. And they're trying to piece it together.
There's probably a guy somewhere who was probably holding his kid as they were reading that chapter, and the kid probably just graduated out college. That's yep.
Oh goodness. I mean, yeah, it very well.
That dad's gonna be a grandfather by the time this is over.
By the time it all ties all back in.
But then the more chapter there is, the more you forget. So he's gonna have to reread everything.
Then it'll be a beautiful family moment.
Part of the adventure. Oh my God. Besides Blackbeard, you do get some random little peeks at his crew. He's kind of building a crew. What's wrong with
They are
crew?
the ugliest looking crew in all of One Piece.
The antithesis of the Straw Hats.
Right.
You can look at the Straw Hats, and you can kind of see them in Toasty's panel, minus Vivi and the duck and the camel. You look at the Straw Hat. Is Chopper in there? Chopper. Oh, yeah, there he is. He's at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, he is.
You see all those Straw Hats? There is something visually appealing about each and every one of them.
They all could be models. They all could be models.
Supermodels.
The Blackbeard pirates are the ugliest bunch. The most unassuming bunch.
You got Burgess.
I hate Burgess.
I hate Burgess. The grappling champion. I'll admit, looking at these characters, again, antithesis to Luffy. Look at Blackbeard. He has like 20 missing teeth every time he opens his mouth. Luffy, when he smiles, he's showing all his teeth. So, antithesis. You got Burgess. You have I think his name is Van Ogre.
Van Ogre.
Yeah. He's the sniper of the squad.
He's the sniper, yep.
And again, allusions to for example, Usopp, because
they're matching up.
Before they got to Jaya, there were seagulls that fell on their ship that have bullets in them. Yeah. And Chopper was saying, yeah, these guys were shot, but there's no island in sight. And Usopp makes a point to basically say, yeah, if they shot from where we're going to Jaya, that's impossible. We can't even see the island from here. And then they show Van Ogre with a long ass rifle, and it's like, oh, whoa, be careful with this guy. So we got Van Ogre, we got Burgess, Blackbeard. Who was the fourth one that was on the island? The doctor.
It was the doctor.
doctor.
Yeah, the one that tried to give him the apple, but Luffy ate a non-poisonous one.
Choice of words that this guy called Luffy. When Luffy took a bite of the apple that wasn't poisonous, or the one that was not going to explode in his stomach, he called him a lucky boy.
Yeah.
Key words.
Oh gosh, you think so?
I 100% think so. Of all the words, you could have called him lucky guy. Aren't you a lucky man? Aren't you a lucky? I don't know. You could have called him anything. He could have called him anything.
He could have, but Luffy is still relatively young in the pirate scene. Like, these people are all like pushing their 40s, like well into their 40s.
Yeah, they're old. They're like the age of Shanks. Yeah.
Right, they are. But everything has a purpose with Oda. I will give it to him. I'll give it to him. Oh my God. Lucky boy. Toasty probably has no idea what it even means.
But you want to know something? Here's another thing. On the Baratie, they called what do you call it? They called Luffy Chore Boy.
Oh, do you think they knew?
No.
And when you think about Baratie and how it's like literally a fish head. And what else has a big head in the middle of the sea? Of recent chapters.
A big head?
You're losing me.
Yeah, you're losing me.
I was already lost.
A big head skull. The skull head in the middle of the ocean.
Y'all obviously Nino, they're not real fans of the series.
Go ahead, Toasty, clarify.
No, stop.
Clarify,
Toasty. Too far ahead.
Toasty, no. Let Toasty clarify. What is it, Toasty?
No, we're going
obviously, he's talking about a chapter I haven't read yet because I'm 800 chapters behind.
Clearly,
but once I get there in about 1 to 2 years, I will be able to tell you.
Just like you're able to tell us the panel spread in Jaya, the one that you conveniently forgot.
Jaya was not that important. Skip Jaya.
Goodness. So we covered the Blackbeard pirates, and there's another character that we'll touch on that's part of the Blackbeard crew, but we'll touch on that in the the government portion. But going back, Luffy, Zoro, Nami, they leave the bar and they at least have some clue of where they're gonna go. They're gonna go to the house of Mont Blanc Cricket. They're going to find out what he knows about how to get to the city of gold, right? Or was it
the island of gold?
So this
El Dorado.
So it's all in the, Nolan the liar said there was a city of gold. And when he got there, the island was gone.
Right.
And now he's a liar.
And now he's a liar. The tale of Nolan the liar. And I like how every time they mention the Nolan the liar thing, they all look at Usopp just without saying anything. And he's like, why are you looking at me? But an interesting bit of foreshadowing, one that we did get an answer for years later, was a certain dialogue exchange between Sanji and the rest of the crew. So when they originally picked up Nolan the Liar and they read the story, Sanji mentioned that he recognized that story. It was a North Blue. It was a story from the North Blue.
Yeah, he read it as a child. Yeah.
He read it as a child. They then questioned Sanji, saying, Sanji, what do you mean? You said you're from the East Blue. We found you in the East Blue. And Sanji just kind of sweeps it under the rug like, it's not that big a deal. I know the story. And
then he's like, oh, I was born on the North Blue. Didn't I mention that? And it's like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
You didn't mention anything.
Yeah, very, very nonchalantly, and tries to change the subject back to the story.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Like, doesn't want to focus too much on his past. Why?
Why not?
And he's the first Straw Hat that we don't know much about, like, their past. So
at this point, him, Zoro, and Robin are the three that we know the least
we still don't know Zoro's true.
We technically still don't know Zoro, right?
I remember someone laughed when we talked about Logtown that Tashigi was gonna tie back
Absolutely
into the
not.
story.
Stop.
It was you. It was
Keep
you.
it focused on Jaya because that's stupid. That's not a thing.
We don't know anything about him. How else are you gonna
your
tie back his story?
Your Tashigi theory is terrible, and I will never buy it. So
Look, honestly, we just have to wait for the true villain of this series to come back into play. Down the stairs.
Enough. Enough. Enough.
Yeah, because Zoro's friend fell down the stairs. And that's how she died.
My God.
He's
Boo.
Goodness.
undefeated.
Boo this
Undefeated.
man. Boo this man. Anyways, again, a little bit of foreshadowing, a piece of trivia that we'll not know about Sanji until I want to say 15 years later. I think an arc covers this dialogue exchange like in 2017 involving Sanji's background. So yeah, people died waiting for this. And honestly, it was a little exchange that you could just sweep it under the rug as that's not important. It could just be a bit of Oda saying, oh yeah, Sanji's saying he's from the North Blue and he knows the story. Done. That's it. But I like these little bits. Oda goes back, ties it into many conversations he had, and it's neat. So what happens next, right? They learn about Nolan the liar, and then in comes Mont Blanc Cricket himself. He has a chestnut on his head.
I saw a chestnut and I tried to reach in and get it. And it was a man and he pulled me in. Oh no, he saw bubbles.
He saw bubbles and he investigated.
What a child.
That's Luffy. That's Luffy. And what? He basically came out of the water, kind of fought Sanji a little bit, you know, kind of
Very brief. Yeah.
very brief exchange. And the man collapses. Chopper has to treat him. And they basically discover that this man is constantly going deep underwater to find like gold, essentially. Yeah. And this is where Jaya kind of loses me a little bit because I'm not too sold on the backstory. What's his backstory again? He like wants to, like wants to clear his name, but at the same time he doesn't care about.
Oh, go ahead, Toasty.
I was gonna say he wants to clear his family's name. It's not about his name; it's the entire family, because he's like the 15th descendant of Nolan the liar. And throughout the ages, members of the family have gone out to redeem the family's name. He went out to be a pirate, was successful at being a pirate, came across the island and said, "This is my mission. This is my dream. I have to clear my family name." And so far, he has failed, obviously.
Which is really strange because it's like, you're telling me you had no dream of whatever you had with your pirates, and then when you came across this island, you just decide, yeah, you know what? No, this is my dream now. I'm gonna stay here. You guys,
but it probably hit him harder because he probably heard the story. He mentioned he was bullied, that his family was affected by it, but it didn't really impact him until he got there. Until he got to the island, he was like, there's really a scene of him standing by a cliff, and the pirates are saying, "Yo, we have to go, Captain." He's like, "No, I actually have to stay."
Right, because no one knew that Jaya was the island that Nolan had found. And then when he realized this was the island, he was like, "Oh man, this is always gonna haunt me until, you know, it's solved." So he's been swimming down there for years looking for proof. And all he pulls back is gold.
Yeah.
And it's not even that much gold. He's there for 10 years and he has what, like little ingots of gold and the gold bird, the south bird.
The south bird.
Is it south bird or I thought it was the north bird?
Oh, did he find a north bird?
It always points south.
Well, they are gonna need a south bird. I don't know if that was a gold north bird, but they will need a south bird.
I thought the bird was the north bird, the one with the
It had the giant beak.
If we're talking about his gold bird, I don't know which bird it was, but I know they're gonna need a south bird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the south bird is the one that points south because its head it turns its head. It can't.
It tried to turn the other way, and they laughed at him.
He stresses himself when he tries to look any other way.
It's,
man.
It's silliness. So what? Mont Blanc, he hears the plight of the Straw Hats, and we also get the Monkey Boys in, and we realize they're part of his little squad.
Yeah, they were part of his old crew before they
Right.
went off themselves.
They were part of his old crew.
They're brothers, and so then they had an
monkeys.
alliance because they all love scuba diving and salvaging. I think that's what it was.
Right.
No, but I remember they were part of his crew because he even had a picture with them in the house.
Well, that's just him with them when he came because Cricket, he said Usopp thought it was some like great, because after Usopp told him the sad story about his background, Usopp thought, what about the Monkey Boys? They probably have some grand like reason for coming over. And Cricket stays quiet and he's like, no, they just heard Nolan the Liar's story and they're fans. They just wanted to come.
Never mind.
Again, silliness with these Monkey Boys, but you realize they're associated either way with Cricket, and so he agrees to help them to get to Sky Island because he realized that these two the Straw Hats have a dream to chase this fantastical island in the sky, and he wants to help them. He's willing to do everything. And there's a little bit with Usopp where do you remember this, where Usopp kind of like confronts him on everything? He's like, why are you so willing to help us? Like, you're way too helpful, and I don't understand. Like it wasn't anything played as a joke. It was something where like Luffy even told Usopp, you're being a little much, and Usopp tells him to shut up. He's like, no, you shut up. I'm gonna ask this. Why are you helping us? This makes no sense. And what does he tell him? I'm pretty sure he tells him like, listen, man, you guys want to get there. Like, that's the dream of a pirate. I'm gonna help you guys do it because I'm in a town where the strongest man is telling people that dreams don't exist. The age of dreams is over. The fact that you guys are so young coming in here and basically telling that guy no, like, I'm helping you.
And remember, Usopp only did that because he was scared to go, and he was trying to use some kind of reverse psychology so the guy could not help them. That was his entire goal. He was afraid.
Right.
Because after that scene, he turned to Nami and said, I'm a coward, am I? And she was like, yep, you idiot. And she walked away.
And that's a great moment of foreshadowing as well for Usopp's arc. Because we're still in the middle of the grand Usopp arc.
Yes.
And this was probably like Usopp has had moments of like, oh, I can be brave, with the 1-ton hammer in Alabasta and getting like all his bones completely shattered, which he's fine, by the way. So
perfectly fine. Skull
fine.
fractures. We got a doctor on board.
Yeah,
he could fix it. And
this is probably like one of the moments after that, because if you look at it from the lens of Oda wanted to end One Piece after Alabasta, which he said before that he did, you could see that Usopp, taking up the hammer and like being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stand up for what's right, or for my friends and for dreams. That could be like the end of an arc, but then he had to reintroduce some things, so other things later down the line would be a lot bigger of a payoff. So this is like a very good moment of like Usopp just like chickening out. And
right, it's funny you mentioned that about Usopp's arc, because Oda really foreshadows a lot of things in Jaya with both Usopp, Luffy, and the Merry-Go that are all gonna play a pivotal role in the arc after Skypeia. Because I know they're
going to play a pivotal role in Foxy Pirates?
Yes, clearly.
No, I know what he's saying, because, they do have to prep the Merry for the knock-up stream, but Usopp was already doing repairs to the Merry you know, and Sanji makes a comment and says, "Oh, we need a new ship. We got to get rid of this." And Usopp's like, "No, don't you know who the ship is or what this ship means to us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I heard the story."
Like I wasn't there. I'm not.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't there, right?
He wasn't there.
Very subtle kind of.
But
like, because when you think about it,
him,
right?
He says, "The Mary is part of the crew. Like, we'll just fix her. Simple as
that." That's subtle because you think that you read it, even if you read it again, you're like, oh, that's just an interaction that the crew's having.
Right. You don't think anything of it. You think you don't think the Mary is gonna be an integral part of the story at any point, you know.
Right.
And
it's good because they really emphasize the damage. Like they would show the Mary get beaten up a lot in the previous arcs. Like Wapol took a chunk out of it. He bit a piece of it off. And it's
you
like
see the repairs.
You still see it. Yeah. It's not like Oda forgot and like, you know, like when Luffy gets like a tooth punched out or someone gets their skull fractured, the next arc is just it's just fixed. It's there. He has his teeth back. Not with the merry-go. It looks beat up still. And I think even earlier in this arc when the Shoujo, the Shoujo captain, he did that sonar
he was damaging the ship. Yeah,
he was damaging the ship. The floorboards were ripping off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's like the way you're ripping those off, you can't repair them. Like this ship went through the ringer in previous arcs, but really I feel like Oda was emphasizing that in this one.
And on top of it all, it's not a pirate ship.
It's not a pirate ship.
It's not a pirate ship.
It's a caravel.
Right.
Exactly.
Is it this arc that they get the big hunk of metal on the bottom of the Mary so that it doesn't crack?
No, that was Skypeia.
Wait, the hunk of metal?
The one where the ship get fixed in Skypeia and somebody, quote unquote, in the darkness while they were having the bonfire.
Oh, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's I think one of the biggest like things to the Mary, I guess that we'll see is like there's like a big chunk and it was stated in this arc, like if your ship can't hold it when it gets shot up, you're just gonna get broken. There's no way to fix that. You're all gonna die.
Oh, you mean like the base part?
Yes.
I think they mentioned that in Water 7.
They do. They say the knock-up stream did that.
The knock-up stream messed it up even more. Like it's a part of the ship that if this part gets damaged, that's it for the ship. Like it's not saleable anymore.
But it happens here.
It happens here at some
point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The actual deed of it getting damaged is in this moment. So they realize they need to get a Southbird to basically find out where the knock-up stream is coming up next. They venture into the forest. There's shenanigans that go on as usual. It's a forest on the Grand Line. The bird is messing with them, sending hornets and giant ladybugs, just shenanigans.
Chopper can't understand the bird.
Chopper can understand. I
I
like the way Oda draws like certain facial expressions, because whenever the bird spoke, Chopper had this look of disgust on it. Like he looked back, he's like, "What the hell did you say?" And he's like, "What do you say, Chopper?"
He's still a little kid.
I love it. But as they're in the forest, Bellamy, the hyena, and his crew hear about the gold that Mont Blanc Cricket potentially has. They come in, they beat the crap out of them, they steal the gold, and I love the next ensuing panels that happen immediately after that. Luffy decides to go and get the gold back from Bellamy. And this time he's gonna force him to give it back.
Oh yeah, he taught him a lesson.
Oh yeah.
My background, he taught him a lesson.
The games were over.
The games were finally over. I like the way this scene is drawn in the manga. it's done very well in here in the background that I have, but there's something about when Oda does like I don't know what the right word is, but like shadowing or certain lines that he does when he's drawing like an impact, like a punch or a kick. He really puts a lot of emphasis on it. It looks very, very nice. This scene in the manga, I felt that hit. When that punch connected.
Yeah, and it imprinted on his skull too.
It left an imprint.
Yes, it did.
How hard do you hit someone to leave an imprint?
And that was not Luffy's blood. That was Bellamy's blood.
Now I have a question for you all, because we know certain things. Because the next arc is Skypeia, and they introduce a certain.
I already know where you're going with this. Mantra. You talking about mantra? Yes, yeah. And I've mentioned this before. This is all alluding to it's a build up of what would be hockey. Like you don't get observation hockey if you can't stand there and perfectly time when to punch the crap out of Bellamy springing around.
Oh, because of how fast Bellamy was going? You think there was some illusion?
And also the one punch, he knocked him out in one punch and left an imprint on his head when he's supposed to be made of springs.
Right. The fact that he can do that means he's leveling up to eventually unlock observation hockey. Now, again, you could call it a retcon, or you could say Oda's a genius and he knew it from the get-go. If it's a retcon, it works. Because there's other instances where again, I've been saying this, you don't get hockey unless they do some of the things that they've done in the series.
I think it's definitely it's a retcon by name, but there is definitely like hints at it was. I think what Oda did, it was like he introduced these ideas, but he could have done it to like he could have still pulled out if he wanted to. Like I can totally see Oda being like, Luffy was just that strong, you know.
I thought he was just that strong in this scene. Like reading it for the first time.
He is strong, but I'm talking about timing it though, you know.
The imprint on the head, like why won't he just bounce off if he's made of spring? That's a question.
Well, that's the thing about his devil fruit. Well, I think we only seen the springs come out of his
feet. Out of his feet, I think.
Yeah. It was the feet.
But with that said, they should be able to come out of his limbs altogether.
That's stupid. If it's just on his legs, that's a stupid devil fruit. Like,
well, maybe he hasn't unlocked it because.
But look how fast he can go. You can't see him. He bounces around.
And you know what? You know what's actually also good about this scene is that Bellamy prides himself about his devil fruit. You know, kind of that arrogance of devil fruit users. He's like, I have a devil fruit. You can't beat me. You know.
I mean, not only that, his bounty. He prides himself on the numerical value. He's like, I'm 55 mil. What are you? You're just 30. You're just 30.
That's so interesting that you say that now, because now it's all linking together. Like it's placed the reliance on devil fruit and the reliance on bounties to equate to power are put together for a reason. Because
exactly,
you know, as we find out that devil fruits aren't what make the man in this series, apparently.
Correct. Or the power doesn't necessarily only have to come from the devil fruit.
Yeah. It doesn't.
On top of that too, Luffy doesn't even use any gum abilities here.
He does.
They don't even know that he has a devil fruit.
Correct. Exactly.
Oh my god, that's right.
He just punches him. Yeah,
I didn't even notice that. I read it recently. I didn't even notice that they don't know what his devil fruit is, and he still knocked him out.
Yep.
And the only way that you can get away with that is good character writing, because if you even said that you read it and you didn't even notice it. That's just because Oda's a good writer here, because he was like, how do I get away with not showing Luffy's powers for a number of chapters and no one will question it? Is because it was a character moment. Luffy just said, I don't care. Bonk, bonk. Like, pirate be gone juice.
Concussion. Yeah, he knocks this guy out. And funny enough, his first mate, Sarkis. Sarkis. The guy with the, I think his gimmick is like he has like one of those.
You got like a giant sword, no?
It's like a blade. It's a type of blade. I don't know what you call it. It has a name, but that's his gimmick. He has like this little mini sword. He notices Captain gets knocked out and he's petrified, right? And it's funny because he takes that level of like Luffy leaves. He has the gold. He leaves. And he still takes that level of arrogance when he's walking down the street and he bumps into Blackbeard. And he's still after seeing his captain get destroyed, he's still like starting. Watch where you're going, man. And bam, shuts him up. Blackbeard, he didn't care. Literally, antithesis, mirror. Luffy knocks out Bellamy for disrespecting him or disrespecting someone else. And Luffy Luffy beats the crap out of the captain for disrespecting someone else, which is Mont Blanc Cricket. Blackbeard knocks out the first mate for disrespecting him. He bumped into him and said, watch where you're going, man. Like, this is our town. Boom, shuts him up. Luffy did it for someone else. Blackbeard did it for himself.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mirrors. Go does a go. That's all I gotta say.
Before we leave that, someone calls out to Luffy. I forget who it was. It was like, what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? And
it's the first mate. The first mate, Sarkis.
Iconic. The sky.
Love it.
Very subtle, very nice.
And it's funny because Sarkis, when he said that, he was like trying to, toughen up and be like, don't walk away. Where are you going? And when Luffy turned around before he lifted up the finger, Sarkis, like, he was scared. He thought he was going to punch him. And then it was just Luffy pointing to the sky. He's like, I'm going to the sky. Simple as that. I love it. So Luffy brings back the gold. They set the ship up and they're now on their way to the knock-up stream. There's a brief...
The chicken.
They got him. He's chained up there.
Oh, the bird?
The bird.
No, I'm talking about the chicken thing that they
put a thing on the Marigo's stern.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Right.
They outfitted it with wings too. Right. Yeah.
Right. It's now gonna fly to the Sky Island. But before it flies, we get to see a little bit of how the world is reacting to everything that happened in Alabasta. Oda placed this in a very interesting position because usually the norm now in how One Piece works, we get a big arc, big fight at the end. After the fight's over, the arc finishes and we get like a world view of what's happening. What's the government thinking? What's Shanks doing? What's Whitebeard doing? Well, not Whitebeard anymore, but what is everyone doing? What's the world reacting to what Luffy and the gang just did? This time, it didn't really happen right away. It happened in the transition period between Jaya and Skypeia of what happened at Alabasta. So one thing that we get is we get a sneak peek at Marijois, the capital city of the Navy. Is this the first time we've seen Marijois?
Yeah, 100%.
This is the first time. Okay.
This is the first time we meet a good amount of people here.
Yeah, we meet more Shichibukais.
Yeah, we meet that stupid walk of Doflamingo where he's like the big steps.
It's an ego
the legs
walk.
wide open.
It's an ego.
I'm sure a man with a walk that stupid won't be important.
Correct. Honestly, you really didn't think anything much of Doflamingo right there. Neither did Kuma. You're like, oh, he's a big guy.
He had a Bible. He
did have a Bible.
That was
not
X'd
in
out
the American dub. I don't think.
I think in the anime they cut it out in general, right?
Yeah, I think they cut out all the religious.
In the anime,
I'm
they
pretty
did
sure.
It?
No, that's early One Piece. That's 4Kids One Piece.
No,
Kuma is not in 4Kids One Piece.
I think they actually. I know in the oh my god, the American release of. I'm pretty sure the anime period, Japanese or American. I think they've removed the mention of the Bible.
They did not, because in Thriller Bark, I remember watching it. He had a Bible.
Did you assume it was a Bible because it was black?
I think okay.
No,
so
it's a Bible on it.
when they whatchamacallit, when they it is indeed a Bible in the manga, but I think the anime just puts one line on it versus a cross. There's many subtle things that they drop from manga to anime because
it's a
too
Bible
violent.
in Thriller Bark. I'm looking up right now. So
are you looking up manga or anime?
Anime. They're in color.
Is there a cross on it?
It says Bible.
Okay, maybe it was the cross.
The manga can also be in color. I'm reading it in color right now.
Yeah, but it's the what do you call it? It's the anime. Like I can see it's the anime.
Yeah.
It's likely the cross then.
There we go, 2-4-0, proving y'all wrong. That's a real fan.
Anywho, you don't think much of these two characters when you meet them. You also meet the elders. You see the elders for the first time.
First time? Damn.
First time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the first time you meet Sengoku.
Okay, that yes, I remember that's the first time you meet Sengoku, who is the fleet admiral.
Yes.
Very high. I think it's the highest position in the Navy outside of the elders.
The elders, right?
Right.
Well, the elders don't work for the Navy. They work for the world government.
Correct.
The world government and the Navy are separate entities, even though the Navy works for the world government. So he has the highest, what do you call it? He has the highest position in the Navy.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yes, he talks to the elders, right?
Exactly. This is a meeting to call in the warlords because they want to talk about what?
Crocodile's out.
Crocodile's downfall.
Right. And we need to replace them.
Exactly. And I like.
Actually, I'm sorry. Two things, but let's talk about the crocodile.
Yeah.
Thing. Let's talk about the crocodile thing.
Oh, the crocodile thing. So
there's another thing they have up for discussion.
Right. So Luffy beat the crap out of Crocodile. There's an open seat on the warlord table. Only 2 warlords show up to the meeting, that being Doflamingo and Kuma. There's 3. Oh, I mean, well,
two show up on time.
2 show up on time. Then you got the more badass one of Mihawk showing up and saying, I would like to know what is going on in this meeting of warlords.
He does not have like a Spanish accent.
That is the 4 kids accent.
I've always had that accent in my head.
Oh my God.
And that is fair. That is fair.
When I read his speech bubble, that's the sound that plays in my head when I'm reading the manga.
And that's okay. That is totally okay. I still do the shanks with an Irish. Or
wait, isn't it Australian?
Cockney?
I thought it was Australian.
Oh, it's Australian. Whatever it is, it's terrible.
That's terrible.
Way to go, Luffy.
Yes! Oh my God, that is 100% his voice.
That is not his voice.
Zoro, you must look me out later.
Yes! Oh my God.
It's really... Crocodile's out. They need someone in. And also they're doing it for looks too, because they're trying to give off the appearance that the warlords and the Navy work together.
Right.
And that really they're competent too, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That they didn't squander an entire nation almost to a warlord. Which, looking back on it, considering who came to to this meeting, it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Wait,
when
Mihawk?
are
you talking about Mihawk?
No.
No, he's talking about Doflamingo.
Oh,
yeah.
Doflamingo.
And seeing what Doflamingo does the moment he gets there.
Right. You know, he messed up the little puppeteering. He does, again, showing Oda kind of had an inkling of an idea what he was going to do with him. This guy, Doflamingo, they ask him like how he's doing, and he says, he does the Kingpin thing from Spider-Verse, business is booming. And it's like, oh my God, the business he's running. And someone says, well, if that's concerning for a pirate to tell us business is booming, what the hell does that mean? That's not something good. You were going to say something?
I think they subtly refer to Doflamingo's past.
They do?
Somebody addresses him as, man, it's a blink and you missed it. I think they called him a noble. which is crazy because he's not a noble anymore. I swear, because
Wait, who do you know who?
I don't remember
Yeah.
who exactly, but I was literally just watching it. I had turned away, but I heard him say, "Wow, no one's ever addressed me as such in such a long time," or some people don't know to address me as that. And he's like,
Hmm.
I'll take.
That sounds
your
like
word
an
for
anime.
it might be an anime only. It could be,
It
but
sounds like one.
when I heard that, I was like, oh man, if they are talking about this back then kudos to Oda, because that's something you had no idea what they could be talking about,
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So
I mean, there's a lot of foreshadowing. I think that we can agree on at the minimum, like whether it's Doflamingo, whether it's Kuma. Well, there wasn't really too much with Kuma going on.
nah, he's silent the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. But there's another wild card character that shows up to this meeting. I forget his name.
No, you said it earlier.
I did.
Oh, you
Who?
did? You didn't? Lafitte?
Oh no, I didn't say Lafitte. I don't remember his name, but
Oh,
that's what I was
it's
referring
Lafitte.
to. Lafitte.
And he's a tap dancer.
He's a tap. Is this why you hate everyone in the?
They are the
Blackbeard Pirates?
weirdest and ugliest crew there is. I can't stand them.
Lafitte appears, and he's here to recommend his captain of the Blackbeard Pirates, Marshall D. Teach, as the next warlord to take his place. He doesn't say, I'm here to recommend Blackbeard, but he's recommending Blackbeard. He's there to recommend his captain. And that's when we see the walk down the aisle, or the walk down that we usually see for Luffy and the gang. That's when you see like Blackbeard and Burgess, GrandMasterHoop's favorite character, Van Ogre, and
Doc Q.
Doc Q, a sickly doctor. It's funny. I like that they're weird, ugly characters. They're ugly. I'll admit. But that's when we get. I mean, I think that's all that happens, though, right?
Okay, so then
Yeah.
the elders have a brief conversation because, again, there's theories about Shanks. So the elders are aware that Rockstar went to go deliver a letter to Whitebeard saying
Okay.
that Whitebeard and Shanks need to talk. And actually, then they show what happens at that meeting. The elders are concerned because they said those two powers cannot be meeting up,
Right.
But then the elders make a subtle reminder saying Shanks would never make a move like that unless prompted. And so
okay.
it's interesting because, again, mystery surrounding Shanks. Don't know much about him. I don't know. I don't think they've confirmed he's part of that crew to the audience yet. But remember, I feel there's been theories going around that suggest Shanks has some tie-ins to the world government.
Right.
Have you heard? Have any of y'all heard of those whispers?
I mean, I think I've heard them far and wide, like nothing too specific, but because Shanks is such a character that 20 plus years later, we still know next to nothing about him.
And that's good.
I can see it's part of it is good. Yeah. Cause you have theories like this where people start making connections as to what his relations are. What are his goals? Does this guy got a devil fruit or not? I'm part of the camp that thinks he doesn't have one, and I think he's more badass without one. But yeah, I don't know the specifics of the theories you're mentioning, but I have heard of some of them.
Well, this gives you an inkling because it's almost as if they were not worried about Shanks, but they knew the inclination of Shanks and Whitebeard meeting. And this does lead to the next scene where it does show Rockstar addressing Whitebeard, and this is the first time we see Whitebeard.
Yes, he is huge.
Yes.
Disgustingly huge. I don't know. There's something weird about some of the. When I read these parts before, like growing up, I hated how large some of these characters would get. It just looked weird to me. I didn't like it. Obviously now I don't care if the character's big or small, but Whitebeard's freaking huge. But being the man that's considered the strongest person in the world, look at what's around him. He's connected to a bunch of medical stuff. He has nurses attending to him. And I think that's cool. I think that's really cool because like it makes you question like, why is his title the strongest man in the world? This was the guy that apparently fought Gold Roger and lived.
And could go toe to toe, right?
Could go toe to toe. And he is labeled as the man closest to the One Piece. What the hell that even means? We still don't know because that could mean so many different things. Like he's the closest to discovering the One Piece. He's the closest because he's like next to it. He's somewhere where it's close by. So many things. No idea. But that's his title.
And then you get that scene with Shanks, that quick scene with Shanks where they're like, the government's gonna try and stop us. And he's like, we'll go anyway.
Okay, let him.
It's funny that the government is trying so hard. And I think this is going to play a much bigger role considering recent chapters, but the government does not want the Yonkos working together. So it's cool. And they actively try to keep them at war with each other because they can barely, that's a spoiler, but what do you call it? It's just interesting that they emphasize it so early on that they don't want Yonkos like even meeting each other.
This they cannot be talking. Grandmaster and I is not allowed.
Oh, right, because again we're unstoppable, and it's just
TV
too much of
a. Be disappointed.
It's TV is nowhere to be found.
It's okay. It's too much of a wild card for them because again, and that's the great thing about One Piece as far as kind of just storytelling. You don't know their emperors. You don't know the 4 emperors. You don't know that the Yonko are a thing. You just know these two are 2 powerful beings that should not be meeting for whatever reason. You don't know the scope of their power. You don't know the scope of their influence throughout the world, but they cannot be meeting for whatever reason.
Don't let them.
Right.
Because if they form an alliance, I mean,
alliances
go a long way. And,
right.
We won't talk about it now, but our manga readers know alliances go a long way. So that's the government bit. We do get to see a little bit of Buggy and Alvida. That usually doesn't happen a lot. Because I think the last time we saw them was Log Town, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Most important character.
Buggy
D Clown.
Buggy D Clown. And they always meant, I don't know if this is like a silly gag with Buggy or if it's something serious. He's always looking for Captain John's treasure.
It comes back.
Is it something serious? Like
it must be. Like, and there's no way.
I always thought it was just something silly, like I don't know. I thought it was like a silly adventure for Buggy, Captain John, because they look in the silliest places. They're like, what? They're looking at like a mine shaft or something for the treasure that's occupied by miners.
But it's a spoiler. What do you call it? That Captain John was. Wait, should I say this? Well,
no.
I don't even know
how far do we know about Captain John? Because I don't.
There's only one thing we know about him besides that of him having a treasure.
Okay,
I don't know anything about Captain John.
He was on a certain pirate group.
I don't.
He was part of the Rocks Pirates.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
He was there. That's why you know what? I'll explain when we get there.
Well, hold up. Buggy and Alvida are not the most important part about Buggy.
Go on.
Do you know who else is on that ship?
With who? The
with
two
Buggy.
of them?
Yeah, that's right. There was somebody else that we're talking about.
Isn't
that a member of Shank's crew?
Ace is on the ship.
Oh yeah, it was
Ace.
Yes.
Ace is on the ship,
and he's falling asleep while eating and everything.
Buggy, he steals every scene that he's in. How would I was supposed to remember a nobody like Ace?
Ace is not. Oh, God.
Ace had
Yeah.
no significance in that scene because he was just eating and falling asleep on the ship.
They are. No, it's all okay. So it's that part. It's that kind of storytelling where they give you all the pieces, but you don't know how they work together. You get the world government where Lafitte tells them, "Hey, my captain wants to be a warlord. We have a plan that you will now recognize him as worthy of being a warlord." And then it like cuts to Buggy's ship
Yes.
because Ace is on Buggy's ship. They're giving you the pieces.
They're giving you the pieces for when those two characters eventually meet.
But that's literally foreshadow.
It is.
how
No,
he
it is.
becomes right.
It is. I agree. I don't disagree with you.
Okay, it's
is
great
not immediately-
storytelling.
But
It
it's
is
Buggy
not
the
immediately-
Clown. It doesn't matter.
You
Buggy
think
the
it
King.
doesn't matter?
Cut to.
Because then look at Buggy the Clown now.
It is not immediately cut to. I have it open right now. It does not immediately.
I'm not
cut
Tell
talking
him,
to.
manga.
tell him,
I'm not
Nino.
talking
Call him
manga.
Put
out.
him in his
I'm not
place.
talking manga. Not talking manga. I'm talking
it's
anime.
Of course. You
Yeah,
don't
I
want the
mean,
canon
yeah.
version. You just want some filler
What do you mean? It's
nonsense.
very well adapted and it's not filler.
I mean,
So,
I
so
guess,
it should
I
be the
guess,
same as the manga. It should
Exactly.
be the same.
It is
No,
not
no, but-
exactly
but-
the same.
But Buggy and Ace is canon because there is like the cover stories and the
Oh,
Ace
yeah,
novels.
it is canon.
But I guess because the anime had the privilege of knowing what was coming before, you know.
Oh, they could
or what
cut it
comes
in a
after.
way where it could imply what
Yeah.
Grandmaster's saying. Okay.
Right, correct.
Got it.
Either way,
That makes
it's
sense.
still great because they gave you the pieces. You, as a viewer, did not know how to put them together.
At the time, no. But
No.
then looking back in retrospect, it all adds up.
Correct. It's beautiful.
Um,
Could
Blackbeard
say that
Pirates,
it has layers.
like an onion. I agree. Blackbeard Pirates try to stop Luffy and the gang because they're an agent of chaos. They don't care about their dreams about going to Sky Island. They're like, oh, this guy has 100 million berries on
Oh,
his
they
head.
did until right.
Get him. And that ship got destroyed. the knock-up stream destroyed their
Because they
ship.
have a raft. It's a
Yeah,
raft.
it was three
It was a
logs stuck
raft.
together.
It was a raft with cannons in it. It
It's
had
a- it's
cannons
the-
on the side.
It's the most fortified raft, sure. But
It is a
at the
very
end of-
fortified raft.
At the end of the day,
Blackbeard
it's a
could sit-
raft.
Blackbeard could sit on one log of the raft and still have a significant portion of space.
It's still a raft. They are the ugliest crew.
With the ugliest boat.
Why can't they have a ship?
Antithesis. Their ship gets destroyed by the knock-up stream. Luffy's doesn't.
And also they don't show an importance to their ship, like
Yes.
because Luffy's whole thing with his crew is that the ship is so important, which we'll explore in later arcs. But they don't have a ship. They're like, we're just trying to, we have our own dreams, and they don't just align with yours. So
Exactly. So we have their ship destroyed. Knock-up stream sends the crew into the Emperor Cloud, and I think that's that's where volume 25 ends for this portion. I think the volume right after that, Skypeia, immediately picks up.
Yeah, they started the intro to Skypeia.
Yeah, it's basically the anime ends to they start singing "Come aboard and bring along" as they are about to.
I actually
pass
like
the-
that bit in the anime.
Oh, it was good.
The
It
way
was
they
good.
played it, it was really,
Yes.
really nice.
I wish you wouldn't do the dub, but
They did.
I don't know
They
the
sung it in
the
English?
Japanese. All I
no,
know
they
is
sung it in Japanese.
all I know is the Funimation, when they dub the songs, they actually do a very good job at translating. So it is what it
It
is.
keeps the magic.
It started way back at Smile Bomb. Smile Bomb was a perfectly adapted cover.
From
So,
Yu Yu Hakusho, is that
correct.
Is that where you're going?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's one.
They do justice. They do good.
That's one.
Okay, Rurouni Kenshin.
That's in Japanese, wasn't it? Oh,
The
wait,
ending,
no,
the Sugar Cube
Sugar
is not.
Cube.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Freckles. The name of the song is Freckles.
Yes,
Freckles is done in English and it's beautiful.
Doesn't Funimation also do Pokemon? That's also
No,
good.
that's for kids.
That's
Four
for
kids
kids?
said we're gonna make our own shit, and they always did. That's
Rock
where
the
you get
Dragon.
yo. That's where you get that crap.
Oh, yeah, yo.
Yes.
Correct.
The best opening.
Absolutely not.
Gilbert Gottfried would.
Can you
just-
imagine if they're riding up the knockup stream and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to Sky Island." Yo, Gago.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Are you kidding me? That'll be.
And then like
No.
you see like Luffy smiling, and it's like, his name is Luffy.
Yes, and every time they mention a
That's
character, they
so-
show how they're hanging onto the ship as they're
No.
flying up.
Yeah,
That would've been
Sanji
amazing.
saying, "I'll hold you, Nami Swan." Nami-san,
Absolutely
Robin
not.
Swan.
And then I don't know. Robin's like, "Thank God for Cricket Nolan" or whatever. You know, because she has a Texas. It's not that deep. I didn't. The
She had a
draw's not
Texas
that deep.
accent. in
She
the
has a country
Because she
accent.
came out with the
Oh,
cowboy
that-
hat.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
God.
they said she's wearing a
Yes.
cowboy outfit. She's got to have a country accent. She got to give her a twang. So
Goodness.
yeah,
Just like they saw
Goodness.
Joey Wheeler and they were like, you know what this man needs? He needs a Brooklyn
okay.
accent.
Joey Wheeler is an interesting one because
Yeah.
Joey says certain words in Japanese that makes him sound like a tough guy. So they said, "What? How can we adapt that into a tough guy?" You know, and they said Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's play, you. I'm gonna duel you in a children's card game.
So either way, excited to talk about Skypeia next week.
Excited.
This is
Very.
a great prelude to it
It's
all.
fantastic. I
actually-
appreciate it a lot more.
It is way better than I thought, like I mentioned
They-
at the beginning. You'll be
They don't know
surprised.
how many doors they're about to open with Skypeia, honestly.
Yeah.
No, it is like because looking back on Skypeia, you just realize how significant it is to a lot that
We'll
happens.
talk about
later.
it next week, I bet.
Yes.
I bet we will. So yeah, that's basically Jaya. Did we forget anything? Anything
No.
significant? I think those are the big bits.
We deep dived. We came hungry.
We did. Can
Wow, we
you
deep
imagine?
dive. There's a lot of diving in Jaya.
There is. There
Aha.
is.
Oh
Can
my
you imagine if we deep dive Jaya like this and we had still Skypeia to talk about in the same episode?
3 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours
Impossible.
more.
Good,
Impossible.
right? Yeah. Good thing we cut it. Correct.
Good thing we cut it. Well, that's all we have today, folks, on our One Piece Chronicles pod. There you have it. We promised you in the beginning we were going to convince you why Jaya is significant. Hopefully you took something out of this, maybe some new perspective on the prelude to Skypeia. And I don't know how long Skypeia is going to be, but we will manage it. We will manage Skypeia. It is one of the longer arcs in One Piece. But hey, we've handled long arcs before. We'll do it again. But with that, everyone, let us know your thoughts on Jaya in the comments below, wherever you're listening to us on, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. And if you want to see our lovely faces as we deep dive these episodes, check out the YouTube channel at DrJaceAttorney. And as always, which is what we mentioned earlier, join our Discord to join the conversation. More details on that in the Patreon link in the description box below. But with that, everyone, next week is Skypeia. Join us for the Sky Adventure. I am your Yonkō host, DrJaceAttorney, fellow Yonkō GrandMasterHoop, and Supernovas Nino and Toasty signing off, and take care.